what does this location mean to me? So we're standing on the Chalkhill estate in northwest London. First and foremost, this is my home. I've been on this estate 28 years now, and I'm 30, which means I spent the majority of my life here, and everything I've learned about everything can be traced back to this place. And like I don't like decoupling a place as like this inanimate thing from its people, because they're one and the same thing. So like this place doesn't represent just like bricks and mortar for me. Like it's the people that live here, and the people that live here are the ones who taught me like what right and wrong is, how to defend myself, how to interrogate information. Everything that makes me who I am today is a direct result of this place. And so that means whatever value that I put out into the world is a direct result of this place. This is the source. So I do describe this place as like my reference point, my ground zero. And personally, I think it's beautiful. I think it's one of the most beautiful, or like the most aesthetic places I've ever been to in my life. Maybe that's because I grew up here and I'm sensitized to the architecture and its people and their attitudes. But yeah, there's just a beauty here that I value. Everything from like how we speak, how we dress, what we enjoy, what we don't enjoy, the music that we listen to, but also like the architecture from like mid-century modern to like brutalist. So if you show me like a Victorian Georgian house, people will say that's beautiful, but for me, like what some might call ugly, I would call beauty. So, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So, yeah, even culturally, like this hood in particular has been responsible for like some of the biggest like music and like arts movements in Britain. It can be traced back to the Chalkhill estate and neighbouring estates in northwest London. And so we provide a lot of value to, I would say, like Britain, but also globally, because we just we put out into the world, whether that's through music, poetry, art. So yeah, it's not just, I wouldn't say it's my subjective view that we're beautiful and that we're of value, but like objectively, if you look at the history books, we've provided quite a lot. But yeah. So why do I continue to do the work that I do? So I've been living in Ends for the past 28 years, and I've seen firsthand like the condition of my people. And like the best way to describe this condition is through this concept called the ghetto tax, which basically means that being poor is expensive. And so like, yeah, we will have like cheaper foods because we don't have that much money, but that will have an impact on our health. And so like there's a tax on that cheaper food. And our education system as well means that because of its like substandard nature, we have to look for supplementary education, that's a tax, and so on and so forth. Basically indicating that like the infrastructures around us are not best built to serve us. And so for me, I want what's best for my people. Like who doesn't want what's best for their neighbors? Like I love my neighbors. They taught me a lot. The thing that drives me is a desire to see my neighbors and my people around me struggle less. I want respite for them, and if that means looking at building whole new infrastructures to do that, then that's what it's gonna take. And interestingly enough, a lot of my people don't necessarily like see the vision yet, which is perfectly fine. And some people may even reject it out of fear of like the status quo being shifted and the fear of like anything other than this might be worse. But I don't know, I feel like I come from a generation of like thinkers who were educated by some of the most like aspirational and inspirational thinkers out there, people like Kwame Nkrumah, people like Thomas Sankara, who like weren't scared of an alternative and wanted to build an infrastructure that best served their people. So that's the aspiration, I guess, wanting the best for my people and doing whatever it takes to do that. What's the fondest memory growing up in the community that I'm from? So, right behind me, right here, is a corner of a garage, a roof of a garage, yeah. Now, it's a significant place for me because imagine like a 16, 18-year-old. That was when I was like, outside playing curveball and pat ball. And like that's when I was socializing with most people on my block. But sometimes I wanted to sort of get away from it all, and I wanted some time to myself, or I wanted to spend time with an individual and have a bit of a heart-to-heart. Yeah, this spot right here, we'd sort of climb the bins, and we'd sit on the corner of this roof, always at night time. Yeah, usually summer nights, clear skies. Yeah, but like you can't see no stars because it's London. Like there's too much light pollution. But we'd usually sit up there with. I don't advocate for tobacco consumption, but we would have like a pouch of tobacco. Yeah, and we'd sit up there, roll up like I don't know, like 10 cigarettes. Yeah, and a bag of Skittles, and just sit there, chain smoking and like contemplating life, like thinking deeply about certain topics, or like trying to dissect why we felt a certain type of way when my man said this, or like, she didn't respond to my text, bro. So like formulating text responses, or like trying to rack your brains and understand like why my man responded in such a negative way to like your joke. Just trying to work life out. This spot means a lot to me. And it's not gonna exist for much longer, you know. So this garage and the garages along here are about to be demolished to make way for new development. Which, you know, there's a sense of grief there and a little bit of mourning, but yeah, because it was an integral part of my youth and my childhood. But it's just an example of like how fast and how quickly the city's changing around us, which also sort of pushes and motivates my work and like trying to preserve as much as possible, or like to let go of things and make way for better things. So yeah, that's one of two places I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you to the second place right now. So where we're standing right now, at the back of the estate, is this bridge that goes over the feeder. The feeder is the name of a river that feeds into the Welsh Harp, which is like a large water reservoir in northwest London. And for me, standing on this bridge, I usually always come here by myself. You can hear the water, and hearing the water and the flow of the river provides me with like a piece of tranquility. Like it's so peaceful here, it's quiet, and during the spring and the summer, like you can see the birds sort of trying to find whatever fish they can in the river, and what that does for me, proper like soothes my soul and calms my mind a lot. Yeah, it's a piece of like nature tucked away in the madness of London that not a lot of people know about. Surrounded by like bushes and like trees and like all sorts of like shrubbery and greenery, which sort of drowns out the concrete around me. Sometimes if you're lucky, during like the autumn period, summer period, like you get some berries that you can have for free, and like it just shows like how nature provides. And yeah, the feeling is difficult for me to describe because I've always grown up in like concrete structures. So to come here and like see such a natural, unscripted piece of the city that provides me with like comfort that I can't explain, it's indescribable.
Talk to me about the first time you discovered it.
So the first time I discovered it, it was accidental because so right next to this bridge that we're standing on, there's a field where we used to play football, and somebody just kicked the ball this side. So I was the one who decided this very moment to go to. I was the one who had to go get the ball, basically. And so I stumbled upon this and I saw that there was a river, and I came back to the Mandem and I was like, yo, there's a river that runs through here. No one believed me. So I took them all back here. And we all stood here for like 5 minutes in silence, just like hearing the water. It was mad. I think we were like 13, 14 at the time. And for us to be, it sounds mad, but for us to be so close to a body of water like this wasn't regular for us, because Northwest London, we're very much like geographically landlocked. There aren't that many rivers here, and there aren't that many bodies of water. So like to know that there's a stream running or a river running along the back of our estate, it felt a bit like paradise, only to then know that this river flows to the other estates in Northwest London. This river goes down to the St. Raphael's estate next door, and it goes down to the Stonebridge estate next door as well. So it feels like a blessing. Yeah, like a little piece of heaven on earth, like just for us. But yeah. So what is it about my upbringing that gives me a strong sense of pride? Well, first and foremost, Northwest Londoners are notorious for being proud about being from Northwest London. I don't know what it is. I think there's something in the water. Yeah. But all jokes aside, like, we grew up with a lot of labels being thrown at us. A lot of labels that sort of removed the nuances of like who we were and removed the beauty about like our heritage and our ancestry. So those labels were something that were flung on us, but we never accepted them because my elders and my neighbours and my aunties and my uncles here were quite solid in knowing who they were and made sure that we knew who we were. So like when we were younger, the feds would sort of drive up and tell us, you're like, oh, are you lot a gang, or you're lot up to no good, and like just imposing their idea of who we should be, yeah, onto us. My elders would tell us like, it don't suit you to be behaving in the way that they're describing you. Like they'll look at my Nigerian brethren and they'll be like, you know, you're Yoruba. Do you know what your people have done? And like to my Jamaican friends, I'll be like, do you know what your people have done? Yeah. And they'll look at me and they'll be like, do you know what your people have done? And like posing us with questions that makes us really ask who we are and like who came before us. And so suddenly what our school teachers who may not necessarily have understood who we were, or like your local Bobby, again, imposing what he thinks we are, it's like water off a duck's back, because my elders actually reinforced in us the sense of like pride and belonging. Like, cool, we're all living in Northwest now, but you can trace your lineage back to the Middle East. You can trace your lineage back to West Africa and so on and so forth. And like telling us history of those places. And so suddenly you're not this little vagabond hoodlum from Northwest London as people would label you as. You're actually someone who comes from someone who has done X, Y, and Z. And I think that storytelling nature of my elders instilled a sense of pride and confidence in me, where like, I don't care what most people think about me because I know who I am. And I could say the same for a lot of my brethren who grew up here. Yeah, it's a very, very beautiful thing. And it's something that I try and employ, and something that I try and do with the new generation that's coming up. So yeah, all of you may be wearing Nike Techs, and everyone's still getting skin fades and haircuts, and there's a beauty in that unity. But also there's a beauty in your individual heritage. Bring that to the table. Show your brethren who you are. Let them show you who they are. And then try and employ each other's cultures and practices in a way that's harmonious to each other. And that sounds conceptual, but it literally means invite your brethren over to break fast in Ramadan. Do you know what I mean? Or when your brethren's getting married, wear their patterns. Do you know what I mean? Because all of that are artifacts of who we are. And we're not just this monotonous population that lives in ends, as the newspapers like to make it out. We're actually quite a colourful bunch that comes from a very rich history. So we don't need to abandon that just because somebody wants to label you something other than that. But yeah, that explains it, I think.